Hello, this is Dan McCarty. I'm here once again on behalf of Marketing Man's Site. We're going to continue our lectures in the area of professional selling, and today we're going to talk about the concept of adaptive selling. Adaptive selling. What is adaptive selling? Well, quite simply, it means that salespeople should alter their content and the form of their sales presentation so customers will be able to absorb the information easily and find it relevant to their situation. In other words, not everybody's the same. So you need to adjust your communication style based on the type of person you're talking to. And today's lecture will talk about the 4 types of people and how each one of them like to communicate and what's the best way to reach them. Now, when we're breaking down people into categories, we're going to use 2 dimensions. One is the assertiveness dimension. So you have people who are either not very assertive or people who are very assertive. You also have a responsiveness dimension where people are either less responsive or more responsive. So what do I mean by assertiveness? Well, we all know people who are assertive versus people who are not. People who are not assertive tend to go along, and people who are assertive like to take charge. People who are not assertive tend to be ask-oriented. May we do this? Are you interested in that? Assertiveness people are interested, are they tell-oriented? Here's what we're going to do. Non-assertive people are risk avoiders. Assertive people tend to like risks or accept risks. Non-assertive people make decisions slowly. Assertive people make decisions very quickly. While non-assertive people are cooperative and supportive, assertive people tend to be competitive and directive in their comments. So you can all get a kind of mental picture of the kind of person I'm talking about. I'm not saying either way is good or bad. It's just you're going to encounter customers that are not very assertive, and you're going to encounter customers that are very assertive. And you need to be able to adjust your style in the way that communicates best with the type of person your customer is. Now let's look at the other dimension, which is responsiveness. You ever met someone that you never could read? You used the term, he keeps his cards close to his vest. That means he doesn't show a lot of emotion. He doesn't really give away what he's thinking. That's a less responsive person, someone that's not very responsive at all. Other people go a little crazy over everything. They gesture, they get emotional. They wear their emotions on their sleeve is the comment that Americans make, and that's very often is true. So you can actually read them from a block away how they're feeling. So non-responsive people tend to control their emotions. Responsive people show their emotions. Non-responsive people may come across as cool and aloof. Responsive people are more warm and approachable. Non-responsive people likes to use facts. They tend to be serious, and they like things impersonal and business-like. That's their comfort zone. Responsive people likes to talk about people's opinions. They tend to be playful, and they like things personable and friendly. So again, you can picture 2 very different types of people, and they would want to be approached in very different ways. Now, when you put these 2 dimensions together, responsiveness on one side and assertiveness on the other, and create a 2x2 matrix, what you can see is that 4 social styles tend to appear, and I have a picture of a representative person for each of the social styles. So you have the group called the analytical, which are not very responsive, not very assertive. Our example for that is Bill Gates, the CEO of Microsoft. If you have people who are less responsive but very assertive, so they don't show a lot of their emotions, but they're very assertive in telling others what to do, Donald Trump comes to mind. That's called a driver. So a driver is more assertive and, again, not very responsive. The type of personality that is not very assertive, yet they're very responsive and open, that's called amiable. Well, pleasant people to be around. Paul McCartney comes to mind as someone who could be an amiable personality. And then the most outgoing, very assertive, and very responsive, a politician like Barack Obama might represent, is called the expressives. So we have 4 different groups here. You're either an analytical, a driver, an amiable, or an expressive. So after the lecture, kind of think about it. Think of which of these boxes maybe that you fit into. Now, let's do an overview of the social style. Analytics like Bill Gates. They tend to like facts, principles, and logic, and they're suspicious of power or personal relationships or trying to get by on anything other than logic. Mr. Spock of Star Trek. Drivers, like Donald Trump, are very swift and efficient decision makers. They tend to focus on the present, don't worry that much about the future. They're very quick-moving, active. They deal with the moment. Amiables, like Paul McCartney, achieve their objectives by working with people and developing an atmosphere of mutual respect. And expressives, like Barack Obama, have visions. They focus on the future, they direct their time and effort towards achieving a vision, and they're not too concerned with the practical details. They leave the implementation to others. So what does that mean for you as a salesperson? Well, as you walk into the office of a person, you need to quickly assess what kind of person they are. And there's some cues, some clues that you can use to kind of figure out what kind of person you're dealing with fairly quickly. With an analytic like Bill Gates, they tend to have a technical background. Their office tends to be a lot of activity. They're actually working executives. They tend to dress very conservatively, no high fashion or style there. And they tend to like solitary activities, walking and solitary sports. If you're dealing with a driver, like a Donald Trump, they too tend to have technical backgrounds, but you see a lot of achievement plaques on the wall. They tend to sit visitors across the desk in order to establish their importance. They tend to dress very conservatively, white shirt, tie, and they tend to like group activities, so they're into team sports. If you're dealing with an amiable, they tend to have liberal arts background. Their office is friendly and open. More often than not, they'll have a little table you can all sit around to kind of communicate, or maybe even a sofa and a couple chairs. They have family and personal mementos. You can tell work isn't everything to them. Their office is arranged for open contact, just like people have nonverbal communication, body language. Office language can tell you it's either laid out open and friendly or closed and across the desk. And they tend to like solitary activities. They're very often casually dressed, but they tend to be stylish. Expressives, like Barack Obama, also have a liberal arts background, but those are the kind of people that have motivational slogans up on their walls. They tend to have cluttered and unorganized desks. They're always working on different things, and they're not very practical. Their office is also arranged for open contact. They also like casual and flamboyant dress. They tend to be stylish, and they tend to like group activities, so they're people. Now, there's always exceptions to each of these 4 styles. So as you think about yourself, you may say, not all of these points apply to me, and that's true. It's hard to scientifically classify a human being, but these are generalizations that tend to hold true for the 4 types, and there have been a number of studies and a number of academics who've looked into this, and they always come back to these 4 styles. They may use different names for the 4 styles, but this 4-style model is very prevalent in the research. Now, let's get down to business. It's all fine and good to know what a person is, but how are you going to use that? Well, Customer expectations vary based on the type of person you are. How they want to be sold, how they want you to approach and communicate to them will vary based on the type of person they are. So let's take analytics like Bill Gates. They like a salesman who's businesslike. They want thorough, accurate. They want a deliberate process. They want you to demonstrate your expertise. They want evidence, hard facts, and service offers to back up your claims of quality. So analytics tend to do things very thorough, very businesslike, and they like to think things through. Drivers, like Donald Trump, are also businesslike, but they like things quick and efficient. They don't like to beat things to death. They rely on a salesperson's qualifications. Okay, why should I listen to you? Why should I take your advice? They like documented evidence, but they like results. They don't need to look into how a car works. They just need to know it works, and you need to be able to prove it. And you need to explain their options. You could either go A, B, or C. Here's the pros and cons. What do you think, Mr. Trump? That's the kind of presentation that they like. Amiables, like Paul McCartney, they come across, they like an open and honest communication. They move a little more leisurely. It's not all business with them. They like to develop a relationship. They like to get to know you as a person. And they like to feel you're trustworthy and friendly. And they like personal attention and interest in maybe their family or a hobby that they're into. And guarantees and reassurances are very important to them. We're going to stand behind this product, Mr. McCartney. You know me. I'll be there if you need me. Expressives like Barack Obama are also open and friendly. They like to move a little more quickly. They're big picture people, but they also like to develop relationships. And their focus is on, what do you as a salesman think? What would you do if you were me? Who do you know that has tried this or who supports your kind of product? Do you have any recognition or approval? Can I point to the fact that you've received awards or recognition as having an outstanding product? Or do you have testimonials, people that I might know, other big picture guys that can vouch for you? So expressive tend to like that kind of sales presentation. So you can see that how you approach these people differs very much. And tailoring your style to the person that you're talking to is called style flexing. Remember that toy Stretch Armstrong? I've used him to demonstrate style flexing. And all that simply means is your style should be flexible. How it's the customer who's kind of locked in. They shouldn't have to adapt to you. You should be the one that adapts your style to what the customer wants. And so you need to recognize what kind of person you're talking to and how they're going to want to do business based on their personal social style. So that's the concept behind adaptive selling. It's a simple concept, extremely difficult to execute. It takes years to get really, really good at it, but once you do, it'll pay big dividends. So this is Dan McCarty, and I'll see you on our next lecture on professional selling.